At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability, ASU isn't just ahead of the curve, it's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
I don't want the stupid cheesecake. The smallest kind gestures, even the big ones, from an abusive person feel like an insult rather than an act of kindness. And it creates this visceral reaction inside of you to something that others might perceive as sweet or kind. Welcome to the Covert Narcissism podcast. I'm your host, Renee Swanson. I am not a therapist, and you are not a victim. I want to take you back to a moment that many of you, I'm sure, can relate to. You see, my husband, throughout a lot of my marriage, I really like cheesecake. Okay, that's me. So on my birthday every year, he would make me a homemade cheesecake. Different flavors, different versions, Snickers cheesecake or strawberry cheesecake. Every year was something different. And when we got divorced, when the divorce was final, and he, of course, had already moved out, we had about 2 months until my birthday. So 2 months after the divorce was final. And he showed up uninvited on my back patio with a cheesecake on my birthday. I couldn't believe it. It actually caught me really off guard. And to an outsider, this might seem like, a kind and thoughtful act, even though it's your ex, that they were being nice. But for me, it was infuriating. It was triggering. It felt like another violation of my space, my boundaries, even my healing. Why? Because after years of being ignored, invalidated, dismissed, manipulated, a cheesecake was certainly not going to erase the damage. A cheesecake does not make up for all the nights that I cried myself to sleep, for all the days that I watched life be erased from my boys, for all the gaslighting, the emotional neglect, the constant feeling that none of us were ever good enough. And yet these kinds of gestures are all too common with covert narcissists. They are calculated, whether conscious or subconscious, to confuse you, manipulate you, and to even maintain a connection that benefits them. Now, why are these nice gestures from an abuser? Why do they feel so wrong? Well, I'm going to give you a few reasons here. Number one, the history of abuse cannot be undone with a token gift. When someone has spent years treating you poorly, a sudden act of kindness does not erase that history. In fact, it can feel like an insult, as if your pain is being dismissed, ignored, in essence, washed away, like it just disappeared. But boy, you sure don't feel that way on the inside. Number two is it's about control, not kindness. Covert narcissists use these gestures as a way to regain control or test the waters to see if they still have access to you. It is rarely about genuine remorse or generosity. Number 3 is it triggers a trauma response inside of you. When you have spent years in survival mode, your mind and your body become highly attuned to the patterns of this manipulation. And so a seemingly innocent act, it can send your nervous system into orbit. It sends your nervous system into this high alert, reminding you of all the times that kindness was actually used against you, when it was used to set you up for more pain. You see, your reaction in the moment of this single, supposed act of kindness, your reaction is not about what's going on right that moment. It's about the buildup of all these years of abusive and neglectful behavior. Number 4 is that it forces you into a no-win situation. You see, if you accept this gesture, this kindness, you feel like you're betraying yourself. You feel like you're not standing up for what you've been through and standing up for your feelings. But if you reject it, then you feel mean. You feel angry and bitter and ungrateful. And it can even appear that way then to outsiders who don't understand the dynamics of your relationship. This is a classic trap that covert narcissists set, one that keeps you questioning your own emotions, your own reactions, your own choices, and it forces a no-win situation. So I want to read you a story that I wrote, and this story relates to what we're talking about here. And the story I've titled is, I Don't Want the Stupid Coffee. So here's the story. Samantha sat at a kitchen table, staring at the to-go coffee cup that her husband had just placed in front of her. It's a latte, extra foam, no sugar. For 20 years, she had been seeking kindness from him. She had been asking for kindness. She had tried to find all the ways to connect with him. Just simple, calm conversation and reciprocal compassion. But for years, he had belittled her, dismissed her, invalidated her, told her she was wrong, she was to blame, put her in her place. And now, when she was emotionally done, when she had threatened to leave, when she had finally stopped begging for him to see her, he decided to show up with this stupid cup of coffee. I got your favorite, he announces in his gentle and rehearsed voice. He slid into the chair across from her, watching her reaction like a student waiting for praise from a teacher. I know I haven't always been great at showing it, but I really do love you, Sam. I really do. I want to take care of you. I know your order and everything. Latte, extra foam, no sugar. See, I'm paying attention now. Now, that word hung in the air, like the bitter scent of the coffee that in this moment repulsed her. She had stopped ordering lattes months ago, switching to tea. And of course, he had not noticed. Something that was easier on her nerves, something softer, something that didn't remind her of all the mornings she sat across from him at this very table, sipping water while he drank his coffee that he would never get for her. For years, she had asked for coffee. She asked him directly, simply. She dropped hints, and then she pleaded. You see, he would always go down to the corner market and get himself a cup of coffee. But he always came back with only his coffee and never hers. So she just gave up. Like she did for the rest of the marriage, too. She clearly did not matter to him. But now, there's that word again. When she had already pulled away, when her love had withered under the weight of years of dismissiveness and neglect, when she had finally started imagining a life without him, now he wanted to be the man she had begged for. She looked at the cup, untouched in front of her, and her stomach churned. He was still talking, telling her how much he had changed, how he would do better, how this This one cup of coffee was proof of his love. He smiled as if expecting for her to be moved, expecting for her to take a sip and melt into his arms, grateful for this tiniest crumb of effort after 2 decades of starvation. But all she felt was disgust. She wasn't touched. She wasn't flattered. She wasn't fooled. This wasn't about love. It was about control, about keeping her from leaving, about dangling just enough hope in front of her that she would stay trapped in this cycle just like she always did. She picked up the cup, turning it slowly in her hands. For a moment, she thought about taking a sip, thought about pretending, about giving him what he wanted just to make the day a little easier. Well, now Samantha has a choice. And we come to that point in the story where you get to decide the ending. This is a choose your own adventure story. Ending 1. She forces a smile, pressing the warm cup between her palms. She softly says, "Thank you." She lifts the cup to her lips and takes a sip. She even lets the steam brush against her face. His shoulders relax, relief washing over him. She can already hear the story he is telling himself. See, everything is fine now. She's happy now. I fixed it. But she isn't happy. She doesn't feel that way. She isn't fine. There was a time when a small gesture like this would have filled her with hope, when a rare moment of kindness would have made her believe that maybe, just maybe, things were turning around, that maybe he was finally seeing her, finally valuing her, and things would be different. But that time had passed. She is past the point.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it. So your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
Where a cup of coffee can fix this. Past the point where an apology, a promise, or an occasional act of thoughtfulness can erase years of neglect, gaslighting, and emotional exhaustion. There's nothing left inside of her to hold on to. No more hope, no more waiting. He keeps talking, already moving on, assuming that she's accepted his unspoken truths. She nods absently, not even hearing his words, her fingers firmly around the cup. But this cup of coffee has bought her a bit of peace in the house. She knows this will only make it harder when she finally leaves, but for now, for today, she lets him believe that his coffee changed something. She just doesn't have the energy to fight today. Ending 2. Something inside her snaps. Before she even realizes what she's doing, she grips the cup and hurls it across the kitchen. It smacks against the wall with a splatter, and the dark coffee drips down the cabinets. He jumps back, his eyes wide, his hands raised like now she's the problem, like she's the one who just crossed the line. She sees. You don't get to do this now. Her chest is heaving. You don't get to show up with coffee and think that erases 20 years of ignoring me. You don't get to act like this changes anything. He stares at her, stunned in silence. But then, something shifts. His lips curl into a smirk, barely there, but noticeable, as if he's just been handed a gift. And suddenly she realizes, this is exactly what he wanted. Now he has proof. Now he gets to be the victim of my anger, the anger that he has put there and cultivated for years. That night, he starts texting mutual friends, subtly planting the seed. I just don't know what to do anymore. Samantha's been so angry lately. I tried to do something nice for her and she just exploded. She threw the coffee at the wall. It's like she's becoming unhinged and I'm really concerned about her. The next day, his mother calls her. Sweetheart, I know marriage is hard, but you need to control your temper. He's trying really hard to make things better. Maybe you should talk to someone. At work, she gets a message from an old friend, someone she hasn't heard from in months. Hey, are you okay? I ran into your husband and he said you've been really struggling with your emotions lately. I just wanted to check in. The trap has been set. Now, she's the crazy one, the unstable wife, the angry, bitter woman who is impossible to please. The story he is telling is so carefully crafted that even she starts to wonder if maybe, just maybe, she's the problem. Deep down, she knows the truth, but now she doubts. And this isn't about a cup of coffee. It never was. Ending number 3. She stands up, slowly carrying the cup to the sink. He watches her, waiting for her to take a sip, waiting for the smile, a thank you, any sign that his effort means something. Instead, she turns the cup upside down. The coffee spirals down the drain in a dark swirl, disappearing in seconds. Samantha! His voice is sharp and stunned. She sets the empty cup on the counter and meets his gaze. I don't want the coffee, she says firmly. And I don't want this, motioning to refer to their relationship. His expression hardens. His anger bubbles just beneath the surface. I was just trying to do something nice. Why do you always have to make everything so difficult? That's when it hits her. This was never really about her. The coffee wasn't a selfless gesture. It was a transaction. He had decided that this cup, this single act of effort, should be enough to reset everything, to wipe out the neglect, the dismissiveness, and the pain. And when she didn't respond the way he expected, when she didn't reward him with gratitude and renewed devotion, he recoiled. She knows this pattern all too well. The moment she steps outside the lines that he has drawn for her, the moment she refuses to play her role in his narrative, the mask slips. I don't have to drink it just because you bought it, she says, her voice calm and steady. His jaw tightens. Fine. Next time I won't even bother. Well, there it is, the punishment. The withdrawal of affection, the silent treatment that will come later, the quiet sulking, the passive-aggressive comments about how hard he's trying and how impossible she is to please. The subtle campaign to make her feel guilty for not accepting his version of love. But this time, she doesn't care. She isn't trying to fix this anymore. She isn't hoping for him to change anymore. She walks past him, out of the kitchen, out of the cycle that she has been trapped in for so long. And for the first time in years, she feels something close to peace. Well, you didn't choose this abusive situation that you find yourself in. You didn't write the story of how this covert narcissist is treating you. But you do get to choose your ending. You do get to decide how you go forward from here. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. If you are looking for help, please reach out. Reach out to me, reach out to a neighbor, reach out to someone. Don't go through this alone. You can find me at covertnarcissism.com. I do offer both individual and group sessions, and I'm here for you. Like I said, today is the first day of the rest of your life, and you do get to choose your ending. I wish you so much peace on your journey of healing. You have been listening to the Covert Narcissism Podcast. If you are struggling with covert narcissism in your life, I help people to heal from covert narcissistic abuse. If you are struggling with the isolation, the self-doubt, and the obsessive thinking, then this is the program for you. I offer both group and individual options. This is live, personalized coaching that is specific to covert narcissism. Reach out to me anytime. You can find me at my website, covertnarcissism.com. I'm not a therapist and you are not a victim. I am a coach and you are a survivor. I wish you so much peace on your journey of healing. The information provided by Renee Swanson and the Covert Narcissism Podcast is for educational purposes only and is not to be used for diagnosis purposes and not intended to be a substitute for clinical care. Please consult a healthcare provider for guidance specific to your case. This material discusses narcissism in general. It does not claim that any specific person has narcissism and should not be used to refer to any specific person as having narcissism. Permission is not granted to link to or repost this material to support an allegation or a claim that any specific person is a narcissist. That would be an unauthorized misuse of the material and information provided.
Did you know that parents rank financial literacy as the #1 most difficult life skill to teach? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app for families. With Greenlight, you can set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn to earn, save, and spend wisely, and parents can rest easy knowing their kids are learning about money with guardrails in place. Sign up for Greenlight today at greenlight.com/podcast.